Nearly 30 years ago, a unique work of public art, the Centaur Excavations at Volos, was installed at the John C. Hodges Library at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. The text panel for the exhibition asks viewers, "Do you believe in centaurs?" The ancient Greek myth of the centaur, half-human, half-horse creature that inhabited the forests of Thessaly, represents a potent combination of human intelligence and animal desires. The centaur becomes even more loaded when it's presented as real. The exhibition has been a resource for student projects in subjects ranging from classics to vertebrate anatomy, and has been cited in several books, including Lawrence Weschler's 1996 Pulitzer Prize nominated book on the Museum of Jurassic Technology. Originally created by Bill Willers, a professor of biology at the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh, the display used a human study skeleton and a Shetland pony to create a centaur burial with various ceramic artifacts, including those with fake Centaurian writing. Here is a photo of the display when I picked it up in Wisconsin in 1993. To adapt the display for the library, I collaborated with former UT scene designer Bob Cothran in the creation of a showcase that included trompe-l'oeil wooden end panels and a faux marble base, shown here. On the back of the showcase is a screen-printed text panel in which this specimen is described as, quote, one of 3 centaur burials discovered in 1980 by the Archaeological Society of Argos Orestiko, 8 kilometers northeast of Volos, Greece. In the spring of 2023, a committee was formed to address concerns about the source of the human skeletal remains used to create the exhibition. If they were Native American, the exhibition could violate the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act, known as NAGPRA. Almost all human study skeletons, like those used by Willers, were sourced from the Indian subcontinent, which reflects a legacy of British colonialism, exploiting indigenous and marginalized communities who did not have a say in the dispositions of their remains. The ethics of using skeletons from India for scientific or educational purposes was seldom questioned until recently, and today we should consider not only our legal obligations to NAGPRA, but our ethical obligations to the 2010 United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. More recently, we learned that the skull used in the exhibit was acquired by Willers from the vet school at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, as the skull that came with his human study skeleton had the top sawed off to expose the internal geography. The committee evaluating the centaur determined that the skull that was used by Willers is thought to, quote, come from an adolescent who is between 12 to 18 years old, unquote, which raises additional ethical and legal concerns. Based on non-invasive methods, the committee recommended that 1, the centaur is permanently taken off display at the library, 2, the human remains are removed from the exhibit and are transferred to the Office of Repatriation, which will facilitate further non-destructive review, and 3, the current centaur exhibit is not reconstructed in a manner that attempts to recreate human remains so they appear real, asserting that, quote, this does not encourage ethical and sound practices, unquote. By the time the committee issued these recommendations in November 2023, the exhibit had been covered and then removed from the library. Consulting several colleagues with knowledge of legal and ethical standards, I agreed to the first 2 recommendations. It was clear that this exhibit, which was designed to be provocative, has now raised significant ethical and legal issues, and it was important for a university to evolve in an effort to fulfill these changing ethical and legal standards. However, the committee's charge was also to consider the educational and artistic merits of the exhibit, which were not reflected in their 3 recommendations. In response, I proposed to adapt the exhibit to retain its artistic and educational value by creating a Centaur 2.0. This new version would use 3D printing based on data sets of human and Neanderthal bones to retain the exhibit's original function as a challenging work of art and a teaching tool, while also providing information about the changing ethical standards in sourcing human remains. This past spring, the University of Tennessee contacted UW-Oshkosh, and a meeting was held with representatives from 25 Wisconsin Native nations. They requested the immediate transportation of the entire exhibit, including the fake artifacts and the exhibition showcase, back to Wisconsin. In justifying sending the whole display, the argument was made that a, quote, spiritual connection, unquote, was created between the exhibit and the skeleton. While this idea may reflect the power of art, it's not one that has legal or scientific merit. The exhibition is now in the process of being transported to Wisconsin, and its future is unknown. Despite this, the Wikipedia page for the Hodges Library still features a photo of the Centaur, and the exhibition lives on through many publications and websites.